Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday Times Roundtable. As you may know, I know for those of you who come every time, you have to listen to this again and again, but the Tuesday Times Roundtable is a partnership between the Office of Global Learning and the New York Times, which allows to bring you speakers, give you free lunch, and have time to talk about the issues that are impacting Miami and the rest of the world. I forgot to say my name. My name is Jenny Simon. I am the program manager over at the Office of Global Learning Initiatives. I'm delighted to be here today to introduce our speakers. A few housekeeping items. Well, there's food on the back, which is always good to know. If you have questions, some speakers entertain questions throughout their presentations. Some prefer that you ask the questions afterwards. Either way, please wait to get a mic. We have mics going around. Because these sessions are being recorded, it's best if you wait to ask your question when you have your mic in hand. Something else for those of you who are Global Learning Medallion students, if you want your points, we can sign your activity points log at the end of the session. For those of you who are just coming for classes, extra credit, just to learn, make sure you're signing in just for yourself. You don't want to get in trouble for signing in somebody who's not actually here. And I think also, regarding the New York Times partnership, there are cards at the end. Taylor probably can show them to you. Those cards are how to access your free New York Times account. Because of the partnership that we have with the New York Times, every FIU student, faculty, and staff has access to New York Times for free, so take advantage of it. It makes sense. And then, so I'm gonna turn it over to one of our student clubs, GlobeMed. They're here to share what they do and maybe find new members. And then afterwards, we'll talk a little bit more about the topic for today and the speakers. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Abby. I'm the president, one of the presidents of GlobeMed at FIU. This is Vita.
I'm the GHU coordinator for GlobeMed.
So I just want to talk to you really quick about GlobeMed, what it is, what we do. Basically, we are a group of students that work with a partner, grassroots partner in Ecuador that is called EDILAC, and they basically provide shelter, education, and medical care for orphanages in Guatemala. And we are their partner here in the U.S. We help them with fundraising. We help them with getting the supplies that they need. And we also do international mission trips down to Guatemala to help them with whatever they're doing, whatever projects, medical projects, education projects. So we welcome all different types of majors. Additionally, for those of you that are Global Learning Medallion students, by coming to our general body meetings, you can get Global Learning Medallion points. If you know, well, you're here, so Tuesdays probably are free for you, but just in case. And also, if you're an active member in GlobeMed and you do join eBoard, you'll get 5 Global Learning Medallion points, and going on one of our trips counts as your capstone. So if anyone's looking for a capstone project, we also have that as well.
So our next opportunity to get a point towards your Global Medallion is for our next general body meeting, which is happening next Friday at 2 p.m. We will be having a GHU presentation talking about biofuels and its impact around the world. So if you're interested in that, we have an interest sign-up sheet towards where we have all the other brochures, as well as a brochure about GlobeMed and more information about the club if you're interested in. So if you are interested in hearing more about what we do and updates, you can sign up there. We will also be having a Halloween fundraiser next week on Halloween, Thursday. So if you want to help support us, you can come visit that too. We'll be in GC.
Yeah, and you can follow us on Instagram for more updates. Also, if you do sign the interest form, we'll put you on the email list so that you can learn about how to get involved with us. We do also local community service opportunities and other things like that. So I will be here until the end of the thing. If you have any questions, you can talk to me afterwards as well. Thank you, guys.
So now on to today's topic, which is creating local leaders to achieve global goals. Our guests are from the United Nations Association Miami chapter. It's really exciting to have you on campus because precisely This year, we had our inaugural cohort of Millennium Fellows. The Millennium Fellowship is actually a fellowship created by the MCN, the Millennium Campus Network, in conjunction with the United Nations, and it's basically a leadership development program where students are chosen from universities all across the world, and they come together in cohorts of students to create projects to address the Sustainable Development Goals. So right now we have 13, it's an all-female cohort, interestingly enough. The first time that FIU gets chosen, it's all women that 13 of them who have chosen to address Sustainable Development Goals right on campus. So they're talking about gender accessibility, sustainability, education, health. And so this is an amazing opportunity. They're having a great time. Well, I think they are, but I can I can connect you to them, and you can kind of like talk to them about their experiences. It's only a semester long, so some of them have the time to complete the project right now. Some of them are actually expanding the project into the next semester. You can kind of pick and choose. For those who are Global Learning Medallion students, that would count as your capstone project. And so it's really exciting to know that our students are involved with taking care of the future and the world. And so I think that's a little bit of what our guests today are going to be talking about. And so if you are interested in learning more about the Millennium Fellowship, there's a flyer in the back. I personally coach the students through the application process, so I prep you for the application. If you have interviews, some of you who, if you're going to choose to be a campus director for the fellowship, you'll have an interview, so I can prep you for that. And then that's just an amazing, fully paid experience to kind of make a difference in your community and the world. So that's something to keep an eye out for. If you're interested, feel free to contact me or pick up a card at the end. And now, let me introduce you to the speakers today. First, we have Flavia Goldenberg. With 36 years in the corporate arena, Flavia blends sustainability consulting, mentoring activities, and genetic radiesthesia to promote positive impact and sustainable abundance in business and people's lives. As Vice President of the United Nations Association's Miami chapter, she volunteers to raise awareness, educate, and mobilize the local community to meet the UN Global Compact's 17 Sustainable Development Goals. She gained a deep and global view of the corporate world, its operations and trends, as a top leader in the national and multinational companies, as well as an entrepreneur in the communications and sustainability industry. Flavia became a guest editor of blogs, portals regarding sustainability communication and events. And for this work, Flavia was recognized as one of the most influential women in the promotion sector by PromoView. Over the years, Flavia has won several international awards in the area of communication and sustainability and served as president of the Globes Awards for 4 years and is currently on the jury of international and national awards in the area of sustainability and communication. Flavia has a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, so talk about the journeys in life, and she also has an MBA in sustainability management. So please, let's give her a warm welcome. And our second speaker is Tarek Abdelraouf. I tried. It was close. Thank you. Tarek Abdelraouf works in the Office of Study Abroad at FIU. He is focused on potential outbound students and the Panthers Around the World program. He also works in the marketing and communication sector of the office, focusing on social media and content creation. Tarek holds a Master's of Arts degree in Global Affairs with a focus on global risk and corporate responsibility. He also holds 3 bachelor's. You love learning. 1 in psychology, 1 in philosophy, and 1 in political science. Originally an international student from Cairo, Egypt, Tarek moved to Miami in 2012. He was embraced by the Miami culture and has integrated himself through volunteering and connecting with the community through organizations such as Big Brothers Big Sisters, the International Rescue Committee, UNICEF at FIU, ISEC in Miami, And he is also board member for the United Nations Association of Miami chapter. Together with his team, they support the Miami community and raise awareness on issues affecting our city. So let's give Tarek a warm welcome as well.
All right, so we do not have our PowerPoint right now, but we will be discussing a little bit as the PowerPoint flows, and we'll just be going together. Cool. We will be adapting. Thank you. So my name is Tarek. This is Flavia. Thank you guys for being here very much. We want to first talk about what the UNA is and what we do here in Miami, and you guys kind of heard a little bit about what we do, but essentially what the United Nations Association of Miami is we are a local chapter of volunteers. So everybody in the everybody in UNA, from the president up until members, board members, or interns and volunteers, are just volunteering their time 100%, aside from their official day jobs. And what we do is basically we are a branch, if you will, of the United Nations. We support the United Nations agendas here on a local level. So for UNA Miami, obviously we are pushing through with the Sustainable Development Goals locally. So we do a lot of different events. We do awareness campaigns, we do marketing campaigns, and we just push and pursue different corporate partnerships or nonprofit partnerships, et cetera, just to kind of formulate the conversation and start growing more conversations here in Miami about sustainability, about climate action, about gender equality, et cetera, et cetera. So before we kind of keep going, I want to know who's heard of the SDGs before? Just if you just put your Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. 1, great, thank you. So this is great. That means that everybody here is going to learn about something new today, and then you will also be teaching 1, 2, 3, 4 more friends after you leave today about what the SDGs are, and you're going to be helping us raise that awareness. Awesome. I want commitment. Thank you. Y'all can laugh. It's fine. We're going to, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I have to log into my thing. 1 second. Oh, I see. If you want to just talk about your experience a little bit.
So I think that the very interesting thing about the SDGs is that you can almost put anything under that umbrella. So we are talking about no poverty, we are talking about no hunger, we are talking about education for everybody, we are talking about access to water, to electricity, we are talking about responsible consumption and production. We are talking about climate change, peace, justice. So almost everything in our lives have to do with the SDGs. And what we are going to propose to you is to think about something that you can do as an individual, and also when you are inside a corporation or you are starting up a business, how you can make a difference and bring some of those issues to the table and tackle them in order to solve some of those problems. So the SDGs, they are 17 and they unfold in 169 different goals. So it's very easy to find something to work on. If you look closely, you can help somehow. So, Tarek?
So since there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals and everybody can literally be interested in one little part or 3 targets of one little part or however it can go, and it's very like detailed when you look through every single SDG, we wanted as an organization to focus on what really matters in Miami, and there's a lot of things that we can focus on, obviously, when you just look at the broader Miami problems that we can fix. So as a local committee, we came together during our retreats and we said, what are the 2 main things that we want to focus on here in Miami? And we decided upon gender equality and climate action. Because for us, at least, as an organization, we feel like these are the 2 most pressing matters here in Miami that we need to just do whatever we can to push through and just raise as much awareness as we can about these 2 items. So
we came to the 2 most important SDGs in Miami, which are climate change and gender balance. And it's not only here that this is important, but regarding the problems that we have and to tackle the problems that we have as citizens. I don't know you, but I live here in Miami and I have an apartment here. And I'm very much concerned about the sea level rise. So when you look at our situation, let's say globally, we start thinking about it locally. But before we do that, I want you to watch this video. What we were about to see are the reasons why the sea level is coming up. So there are many reasons. One of the most important are the glaciers, which are melting. And these are being caused by the warming, the global warming. And we understand by learning and studying with scientists that this might be caused by our activity, by human activity. And the carbon that we throw in the atmosphere is causing global warming. So we have here in Miami such a particular situation. So our terrain, let's say, is pretty it's pretty dangerous because it absorbs the water. So we cannot block the water from coming underneath the earth. So this makes us very vulnerable. Here in this graph below, you can see how much the water is above dry ground. So from the 1996 to 2019, how much that red part is the water coming up over the ground. And we, as I said, we can measure that by measuring our temperature. So we know that we are already 1.1 Celsius centigrades above the temperature, the average temperature that we had before. And if we reach 1.5, we will be much more in trouble, let's say. So we have an ecosystem, we have animals, we have the temperature of the sea, we have a whole system that works all together and depends on that temperature. So our reefs are going to suffer, our animals, and we are going to have a lot of problems because we are going to have rain where we never had, and we are going to have less rain where we had rain, and we had our plantations, and we have our food being produced. So it's a lot to think. It's not an easy subject. I'm not an expert on that. I'm just giving you some ideas of how this can influence our lives, okay? And here I want just to focus on Miami. I wanted you to see. So the global sea level here since 1980 has a certain behavior, but you see in Miami how worse we are in terms of the sea level rise. So if you live here, and if we continue to have that, we are going to have floods worse and worse. So this is something very important for us to think about as we live in a city that's much dependable on realty economy. Okay, so when coming to gender equality, I'm really ashamed to read those lines. I felt really ashamed when I read them before, when I was putting them together for you to read. And unfortunately, we have 50 million women and girls married before the age of 18, and at least 200 million girls and women in 30 countries that have gone, I don't know how to say that in English. Yes, it's genitals mutilation. Okay, so it's pretty disgusting, but it's true. And we have 18 countries right now that where men can say if their wives can work or not. So this is horrible. We think that we live in a bubble, in an island, but it's not like that. So if we come to our local situation, we can see many of that, let's say, consequences, and we have problems here in Miami, in Florida as well. So in 49 countries, they don't have laws about domestic violence. And we women are 23.7% only of national, let's say, have seats in the government. So this is pretty a bad situation. This is, you may say, wow, but these are in countries that are very far from us. This is not. If we tackle this problem with gender balance, we can solve many other problems. So we can solve problems regarding education, we can solve problems regarding decent work, we can solve problems regarding well-being and wealth, because women are responsible for many of those issues, and we can add to economy. You can change.
Imagine a world in which women participate in the global economy on the same basis as men.
What impact would this have on our economies and societies?
Today, women make up half of the world's population.
But only contribute 37% to global GDP.
They do not have equal rights, opportunities,
representations or contributions in the economy and society.
Fixing this could potentially add at least $12 trillion to the global GDP in a decade.
And this applies to every economy, advanced or developing.
To deliver the economic potential of women requires tackling inequality in society.
We can't achieve one without the other.
For example, violence against women is a barrier to their participation in the economy.
As is unequal access to education in certain parts of the world.
Another barrier is unequal access to financial services.
Technology or digital connectivity.
Addressing these social disparities is critical to closing the gender gap in the economy.
And helping women realize their full potential.
Where?
How?
The McKinsey Global Institute has identified 4 categories of inequality around the world.
And looked at how each country scores on its gender parity indicator.
We have identified the regions where these gaps are the highest.
So now we know where to prioritize action.
On what type of issues and where in the world.
Actually, there are 10 priorities to address in order to close the gender gap.
5 at the global level and 5 in specific regions.
Focusing on these 10 areas will change the game for 75% of the women affected by gender inequality around the world.
We can bridge the gap
by providing financial support, bringing technology to women who can't access it,
creating economic opportunities for women,
building their capabilities,
changing attitudes in society, in families and at work,
changing laws, policies, and regulations.
Closing the gap is good for the economy and society.
And it's good for business.
This is not just the domain of governments and NGOs.
Businesses can and should help.
By lending voice, capital, expertise.
By driving change.
Both within their organizations
and in the society in which we live.
All stakeholders.
Men.
And women.
Public.
Social.
And private sector.
Need to come together.
To make change happen.
Only then can we drive broader social change
that makes the world more equal
and unlocks the economic value of women.
This is some data that I wanted to show to you. If it's You see here, we have white men. This is where they begin, so the entry level. Here we have white women. So they begin pretty, let's say, balanced. And then as they evolve in their career, men are much more likely to be a CEO than a woman. And if she is of color, her situation is even worse. But it's not only for women. So you look how our society has to evolve a lot, because this is not happening only to women, but also to men. But when we talk about women, we see that in the C-suite, we are really, really in bad shape. And this is a joke, but it's not a joke. and it's true, there are more men, John, in the leadership level than all women in the leadership level. Believe that? And if you go to the 500 top companies, there are more Johns, CEOs, than women CEOs. So this makes us think a little bit of how much we are far from gender balance and how we all here are part of this. So it's not, I'm not talking about any country 11,000 miles away of us. I'm talking about us. And go ahead. I searched to see how Florida is regarding to our well-being in terms of being friendly to women. And we are in a rank here. If you see how the darker, the better, the lighter, the worst. So we are number 36 in a rank from 1 to 50 in the States. But we have very, very important problems regarding unemployment and regarding education attainment. So this is something that raises our attention, because if you don't have education, you are not going to have a base of the pyramid. You don't have a pipeline of women to become leaders. And so that's why we have almost the same number regarding education and unemployment, because they are both related. And I should say that is there anyone here from New York? Because New York is the 4th best place for a woman to be raised and to work and to live. And Maine, which is up there, is the first one. So we should live and move to Maine. Okay, so this is a very interesting chart, because as you go through the states, you can see all the ranks, and it's pretty amazing. I think that we have good states. I would say that California and Colorado are very good places to live as well. Is there someone from there? Here? No? Are you all from here, from Florida? Yeah? Who is not from here? Oh, you. Where are you from? England. Wow. From Venezuela. Haiti. Oh, good. Wow. Another place with age, which is not Haiti, which is Hawaii, is a very good place for women to live here. They have really a good rank for women. Okay, so I think we come to our activity.
Okay, so we wanted to engage you guys a little bit in an activity and see how all of this kind of information, because it is a lot of information, and we know like to process just these two, like we had little conversations about these two SDGs, and there's so much more that we can go into, and there's so much more that we can start like digging into and realize that we're a lot more worse off than we thought, but we're not gonna do that right now. But I did want to take you guys on this little adventure. So there's two scenarios based off of just your personal current situation, whether you're working or you're not. The first scenario is that we want you to, everybody's gonna pair up with somebody, because we like conversations, we like having people to talk to each other. So quickly, just kind of like find a buddy. I believe you can do it. Yes. Find a buddy. I will make you find a buddy. Cool. Thank you. So the first part is we want you guys to really think about it. So if you're working especially in a corporate office, or if you're working like in a business, not necessarily like nonprofits and stuff, because they're a little bit more conscious about these situations. But if you are working in a corporation, then what does your corporation do to tackle an SDG? And I'll pull up the SDG lists for you guys to see right now. And what can your corporation do to tackle an SDG? So if none of the SDGs are being tackled by your corporation, if they don't have a CSR department, if they don't even have just like random initiatives that they take in place, what can it do? I work in the Office of Study Abroad. We thankfully have good initiatives going on, but if, for example, my head went, oh, we don't have any initiatives, what can we do? Maybe I'll do something with climate action. Oh, we print too much paper. Let's be a lot more, let's move to a paperless organization. Let's move to a paperless department. And we can do that by action step 1, 2, 3. And that's what I want you guys to think about. How can my office kind of change the way that they do things if they don't do things in a specific way already? And for anyone that doesn't work, then what is an initiative that you can do? Whether it's something on campus that you can start, whether it's an awareness campaign that you can run, whether it's I'm going to go into the city and talk to the commissioner and I'm going to get something changed because I care about it very much and I'm very passionate about it. And number 2 is, what about a social business or a startup? What kind of startup can you run in the city of Miami to kind of tackle some of these problems that we have? Because we have a lot and we need a lot of people to help us out. We can't just do it alone. So write these down if you really need to. I feel like they're pretty straightforward, but I'll change the SDGs, that way you guys can have that in your head. And if you need any help whatsoever, just ask us and we'll support. Cool? So we're gonna give 10 minutes for this, and then also like discuss it with your buddies. So like 6 minutes of working on it if you need 6 minutes, and then 4+ minutes to talk about it with your buddy and kind of like see what they think and share some discussions and maybe get to know your buddy's name, because we need to know each other, y'all. Cool? Thank you. So usually I would love to ask us to share and to get every single group or pair to tell us what they came up with and what they found out, but unfortunately there's a lot of y'all, even though I'm very proud that there's a lot of you. But that's why I want you guys to be in pairs so you can discuss these things and make sure that like you actually do go out and make these things happen, because they're a lot simpler than we think. Making the changes that we want to make, whether in our corporations or whether they're in just our community, whether they're in our school, seem like a lot bigger of a task than it really is. But the second you take that first step and you talk to somebody and you get a little bit more support for somebody else, it's such a faster route than you might imagine. But my big question, and the big question that like UNA Miami's been asking since we formed as a board for the past 2 years, is really just what can young people do? Because at this point, young people are not as engaged with the Sustainable Development Goals as they should be. Young people are not as targeted for the SDGs as they should be, because when the SDGs were made, we weren't really the focus point of it. It was more like, we are going to do this for the young people, but not how can the young people take their own action. So this question is for you guys. What can you do? What can we do? I'm young too, I swear, but what can we do together to make an action, to take a step, to just, what can you do when you wake up in the morning to make a difference? This is a real question. You can answer. Yes. He said read information online. Yes, this is very true. What else? I think they want us to wait for the mics. But yes, talk about the goals. Say that again, please.
Sustainable development goals with the people that we know.
Talk about the goals. We were just having that little conversation right here. If like 25 people here, if 20 people here start telling 3 other friends, that's 80 people total that found out. That's 160 people that found out the next day. That's 7 million Floridians that found out. And then all of a sudden, Miami's not underwater. And that would be fantastic. I love Miami too much. Let's not have that happen. Yes.
Go to protests and organize school walkouts.
Go to protests and organize walkouts. Yes, what else?
Use social media as a platform to, share the initiatives.
Where are we going? Who else? What are you going to do tomorrow when you wake up, when you go to work? Who here works? Real quick. Cool. What can you do different at work? Or who can you talk to and tell them, hey, let's do one little difference tomorrow? What is it? What's it going to be? I'll tell you right now, our office, we used to make postcards for every single program, and those postcards used to be printed like 300, 400 each, and now we don't do any postcards whatsoever, and that's a little difference for us, but it's a big difference eventually, because that just means thousands of postcards don't get posted every day. What else? What can you do at work? What can you do at school?
I was gonna say talking to your boss to like implement a sustainable idea, like printing less papers and stuff like that.
Wait, give it back, actually.
I work in a steakhouse where we throw away a lot of big glass bottles, wine bottles, water bottles every day, and it wasn't until I pointed out that all of this can be recycled that we finally instituted a recycling policy. So now we recycle those, and they also added iPads. So instead of printing our menus, and we would have wine lists that were 50 pages, now they're all electronic. So it makes a difference in a way.
All she did is point it out, and then all of a sudden they're recycling systems in their in their organization. It's just as simple as, hey, look, I saw this little situation happen, and then big changes just follow right through. So we want to head to questions. So quickly, if you do want to join our organization, if you do want to be a part of just being at the events that we conduct together, if you want to be a part of, if you want to volunteer with the UNA, if you eventually want to be a board member as well, if you want to be a part of the conversation of how we can take Miami forward and how we can save the city that we live in and love so much, join UNA. It's free for anyone who's under 26. And if you are over 26, it's $25 a year. So it's not that bad either. But feel free to join this organization. Feel free to help us out and just be a part of the team that can support and help the city out.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment some things. So there are so many things that we can do, starting from sharing transportation. So when you wake up and you find somebody who can join you to come to school or to go to work, it's amazing. Another thing that we were commenting there is about the number of times that women are interrupted during meetings and how difficult it is to a woman to speak and to be heard. So when you see somebody being interrupted, help her. And if you are the one who is being interrupted, ask permission to continue and to be heard. So there is an app that counts how many times a woman is interrupted during a meeting. Yes, this is not something crazy from my head. This is reality. And it's amazing because this means power. When you are in a meeting room, sitting on a table, if you cannot talk, it means you don't have power. And so there is this app, you can find it, and maybe you can join. Or if you can do better, don't let yourself be interrupted, okay? And regarding to climate, I think that recycling is an issue here in Miami, in Florida. We have really a hard time to find places to discard and to recycle. So if any one of you would like to create or to be in that business, this is something that's going really to be a very profitable business in a couple of years. So I wanted you to think, if you are going to start up a business, I don't know if you work or if you're going to be working in a new company, think about a business that's as much as your revenue grows, the better the planet will be and the society will be. So this we'll call social business. When you have a business that the purpose is to solve any one of the 17 sustainable goals. So I wanted you to leave this room with that thought in your heads. How can I help to tackle any one of the SDGs? And as Tarek said, a good way to start is to join us. So please, and you can volunteer with us. You can volunteer helping us with content, helping us in the area of expertise that you have, helping us with our events and social media. Tarek is part of the marketing committee. I am part of the advocate and partnership, advocacy and partnership committee. We have different committees that you can engage and you can help us. Okay? Any other questions?